How's it going, everyone? Session here. Welcome to Dead by Daylight. We have the official developer update of March 2024. A little bit behind on this one, but we're going to try and get ourselves into what is going to be very exciting and also very interesting changes coming to the game. Now, I know that there has been discussion previously about them doing like a big change with twins, which I think it's the first update in the history for twins to ever get a change like on like a wider scale. Like not like just like a small nerf or like a buff. It's getting like a major like rework if anything. So I'm looking forward to see what exactly that might come into play with. Also, apparently they're changing a bit with Haddonfield and some of the perks we have as well. And I think with the blight changes, there was like a small discussion about like the add-on changes and kind of what that's going to look like. So we'll definitely get a test of it and see exactly what is on the horizon. So spring is sprung, and so has a new developer update. In this post, we'll share everything we've been working on for our next update. As always, these changes will first head to the PTB on Steam, and then we encourage you to give them a try and let us know what you think. Cool. All right, so major changes with the twins. They've reduced the time it takes to switch back to Charlotte to 1.5 seconds. It was 3, so they cut that time in half. That's very fast, actually. To unbind Victor, it's now 0.75 seconds instead of 1 second. Okay. They reduced the time it takes to change to charge Victor's pounce by like 10%, which okay, I mean, that's fine, I would say. Um, they added the ability to recall Victor at any point while he's unbound. Okay. And they added the ability to change between Victor and Charlotte near a hooked survivor. Ability to change between the two near a hooked survivor. We made switching between Charlotte and Victor more responsive and given the killer the ability to recall Victor anytime so they feel better to play. Okay. Interesting actually. I think there was always kind of like a delay to a degree when you pretty much swap between the two, but we'll see if there's anything more that kind of comes into it, so very curious. Oh, oh, wait, that's insanely fast actually by comparison. Okay, I'm intrigued by that. And the anti-face cam meter will still fill if you're too close, which I think is like that whole thing is a whole different conversation. So whatever. All right, they changed and updated 7 add-ons. They changed that Victor's pounce no longer latches onto healthy survivors. Isn't that kind of the whole point of what it was with Victor? Okay, we'll see. Um, Victor can no longer be kicked after a successful pounce, which does not latch onto the survivor. Victor can no longer be kicked after successful pounces that don't latch onto a survivor. Oh. Oh, so I guess in the event that you're going for the unhook, if you try and go for the Victor swing, okay, interesting. But new changes, Victor's pounce now latches onto survivors when they are put into dying state. Victor's pounce now latches onto survivors when they're put into dying state. Other survivors can crush Victor during this to help the dying survivor. Victor will automatically return to Charlotte after 20 seconds. While Victor... Wait, that's so weird. Why would you... Victor pounces onto survivors when they're put... Or latches onto them when they're put into... I guess he kind of holds them in place sort of thing? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. While Victor is attached to a survivor or holding a survivor in a locker, Charlotte gains a 10% haste effect. What? Oh, that is a giga buff. It may not seem like it, but that's a massive, massive buff. It's actually so strong. Okay. The effect will be lost prematurely if Charlotte hits a survivor. Okay, so then okay, gotcha. So while someone's in a locker or while Victor's attached to a survivor, you can, I think you can like track where Victor is like on a person, and then you literally get a buff the entire time as long as you don't hit a survivor. Oh, Twins is going to be cracked just for that reason alone. I'm telling you now. This buff right here is super, super powerful. Okay. And they remove the ability that starters near Victor while he is latched onto an survivor are no longer revealed by Killer Instinct. Oh, okay. Well, I feel like there's still going to be something like with the add-ons. I'm pretty sure they're going to put this back on like an add-on or something. So I don't think that it's like technically out of the running. But or at least if there isn't Killer Instinct, then you can see you can see Victor's aura while latched onto people sort of thing. So we'll see. Previously, the twins' powers Heavily encouraged slugging, believing Sparta's in Dynasty, since Victor could chain together pounces on multiple injured survivors, but only pounce on a single healthy one. Furthermore, swords could often save each other before Charlotte could make it to them. We have flipped this around. Victor would not be much more effective at injuring multiple survivors, and instead it says Charlotte, who now moves faster while Victor is latched on and picking up the survivor. This makes it possible for Victor to both injure and down survivors without being forced to switch back to Charlotte in between. Interesting. The fact that he's actually now able to like just attack and not latch is like very interesting. The visual terror radius accessibility setting will include Victor's grunt and also not glow red whenever he's vulnerable to being crushed. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. We've updated visual terror radius to include Victor's grunts to improve accessibility and added a red glow to whenever Victor is vulnerable to being crushed to improve visual feedback. Cool. All right. So honestly, like with the way how the changes seem for the twins, it just seems like the whole like latching thing is a lot less effective. And ideally, I think you still play them the same, but instead of like forcing, because one of the biggest tactics against the twins that made it really easy to deal with them is that if Victor pounces and latches on a person, that person can't do anything, but also they just hold on to Victor. But you're supposed to hold on to Victor the entire time. That way, like the power doesn't work. But if you're able to switch on Will between the two now, and also he doesn't latch anymore, then you're almost kind of playing like it's like a weird Knights game. Actually, it's kind of weird, but I kind of understand. I understand it, but I think that for it being like a major change between how the killers work, the backwards thing, it makes sense. I totally get it. Um, I think this will be healthy for twins, but there will eventually come a time where a build gets created with twins and it becomes like not broken, but it becomes extremely powerful to the point that it's like practically annoying. So we'll see how people put it into perspective when they play twins. So, but this is cool. I mean, I'm usually a fan of seeing twins in game since we never see twins, and I think this rework will hopefully put a lot of more players on the map of wanting to play the killer. So we'll see. All right, moving on to the blight. Very small change, but they improved collision detection to reduce cases where the blight slides off of objects. So this has kind of been like a common issue, I think, with blight on a constant basis. So at least improving the detection is nice and helpful, because there are certain maps with blight that like if you don't know it well enough, then like yeah, you just kind of you literally like diagonal run. It's really funny actually, but I understand that that's like a gameplay issue that the blight isn't supposed to have. So that's a good fix. We'll see how that comes into play. I mean, blight is still cracked, right? So we'll see. Next, we have Haddonfield medium update. They updated the map layout and reduced the overall size. They made the map smaller again. Okay, I'm just letting you know. I'm kind of like getting tired of them constantly making maps smaller, because that makes it so much easier for the killers to like do what they got. Like it keeps the action like thriving, which is cool. But again, I really am not like a big fan of the whole like map being smaller thing. So, all right. And they reduce the length of hedges and fences to create more openings. Yeah, I think both of these changes really just tell you like the killers have a hard time dealing with people on the map, sort of thing, and which I think is so weird, because I don't really know how often people like effectively escape out of Haddonfield, but I really don't know. I think that like there are certain killers who if you fight them on Haddonfield, it's just so impossible to deal with them. I mean, like Blight's one of them, Rate's one of them, Chucky's up there. Just a lot of killers that have a lot of mobility options. They are just a nightmare to deal with on Haddonfield. So, devs note: the map's long and narrow shape and rows of unbroken fences and hedges made getting around very time consuming. We reduced the overall size and added more openings to make it easier to traverse. They changed and adjusted various houses to reduce the strength of strong loops. Like I said, map is like a nightmare for killers. Reduce the number of houses in the map. All remaining houses can be entered. Reduce the number of houses. Many houses were closed off, making the map larger without any room for gameplay. We have reduced the number of houses that spawn, though each one that remains will now be open and playable. We also reduce the strength of some of the strongest window loops to be fair and more intriguing or more interesting to play. Okay. I mean, sure. All right. I'm not trying to be biased about it. I just really think that like whenever they make the map smaller, it's literally just to like appeal to the killers, basically. Yeah, whatever. Added pallets and lockers along the edge of the map, which is cool. Updated street tiles to feature more pallet loops and the adjusted pallet loops and park tiles. Okay. The outdoor areas were fairly empty before, encouraging survivors to make a run for the nearest house when they were chased. Since we reduced the strength of the houses, we've added some additional loops to the streets and edges of the map to spread out chases and reduce dead zones. Cool. Minor change. They have officially increased the stun duration to 5 seconds from 3 and added a new stabbing animation when the attack is used successfully. Oh, that's cool. You know, it's funny because like it really is just like a off the shoulder thing, and the perk icon literally shows like a stabbing back kind of animation thing. So the fact that there actually is a new animation applied, you know, it's interesting that they actually add like an animation the way that they do. I don't know. I just it almost seems like they kind of can't. But I would love to understand like how do they actually apply something animation wise. I know it sounds really like duh, they just put on like a suit and then they do the thing, right? But you know, I just feel like this game is very very old for even though it's still got like a very like long health cycle, right? But a lot of the things that this game has is very just similarly related to like what it was in the previous years, right? So I don't know. I feel like there's the animations for a lot of the game is just been the same for years, you know. So to actually add new animations is like interesting to me personally. So this is gonna be really. I mean, just seeing this is cool because also it kind of gives people indications of like, oh, I got hit with Decisive Strike and that's why the person like broke free or something of that nature. You know, like I never actually know when DS is actually being used by survivors. So that's cool. Dev note: the survivor is locked in place for part of the stun while they are being dropped by the killer, so it didn't leave much time to run away once they hit the ground. We've increased the duration of the stun to give the survivor a fair chance to create some distance. While we're at it, we added a new animation that pays when a survivor successfully uses Decisive Strike to break free to give them some visual flair to the perk. That's cool. Adrenaline medium update. Adrenaline no longer activates if you are hooked when the gates are powered. Okay, that's a really bad nerf. Reduces speed boost duration to 3 seconds from 5, also. And then also no longer causes you to wake up when you're facing the nightmare. Okay, well, this one is very minor, but these, I mean, it's not, but it is. But these two are massive. Adrenaline had a lot of exceptions which made it difficult to play around. If a server was hooked while the exit gates were powered, they would be healthy and receive a substantial speed boost upon being unhooked, making it very difficult for the killer to catch them before they could escape. We have made it so that adrenaline no longer pauses when you are on the hook. We've also removed the wake up effect when facing the nightmare to clean up the perk as we've moved away from perks that affect specific killer powers over the years. Okay. Ultimate weapon. This is honestly one of those perks that like it's such a weird perk to put in the game. It's extremely powerful and I think it's very I don't want to say it's underused, but people kind of sleep on this perk despite the fact that on like a lower level, like lower end level of like players, but on a high level, like this perk is used constantly. This perk on a blight is like insanely dangerous. So let's see. Um Ultimate weapon reveals survivors' auras instead of causing them to scream. Okay. So I guess now distortion actually like prevents that from happening, which is cool. They reduced the activation time to 15 seconds. It was 30. Oh, but they increased the cooldown to 60 seconds. Oh, I see. The cooldown's every minute instead of every 30 seconds. Okay, so you actually can't use it on full rotation now. Okay. That's actually pretty fair, honestly. So the aura thing is definitely a nerf in comparison to the scream because the scream I think is like you people had to run what was it? Is it the Jake perk, the one where you're like Iron Will? I think when you're like quiet the entire time, like you had to literally or no Calm Spirit. Sorry, you used to run Calm Spirit in order to prevent this from happening. And the problem is like Calm Spirit is a very useless perk besides only preventing this from being used. So now that it's like an aura thing, at least like you can use a more useful perk like Distortion to actually prevent you from being able to be seen by this. Um, that, and also blind, like if the killer was blind from like residual manifest, you can also at least do that too. So again, there's more varieties in terms of like bringing this perk to a better level, which is cool. Reducing the activation time to 15 seconds is also cool, but it does like double the actual, so it kind of like quadruples the time, you know what I mean? So pretty good. Dev note: Ultimate Weapon was a jack of all trades, providing both information and a consistent way to interrupt survivors' actions, allowing it to synergize too well with other perks. Rather than screaming, survivors will instead have their auras revealed. This means it will no longer interrupt survivor interactions, though survivors won't know that they're being revealed to the killer, which is a very strong trade. Since Ultimate Weapon is easy to activate, it was possible to keep its effect active throughout the entire match. So we've increased the cooldown and decreased the activation window to ensure that some downtime was good, applied to uses. So it's cool. Emblems. Wait, what? They removed the ability to lose a pip. Huh. With emblems being used solely for monthly rewards these days, it felt needlessly punishing to use a pip during a rough match. This quality of life change will make the emblem system less stressful. This also applies to modifiers. You can enjoy these limited time modes without worrying about your grade. And then the store. There's a visual overhaul to the entire store menu. They added a specials tab to highlight items on sale. Added a collections tab to find customers for a specific collection. Added bundles containing multiple discount price. Killer Mori animations cannot be viewed at the store. And a weekly gift that can be claimed for free. The store hasn't changed much since 2018 after it's introduced. This update makes it easier to find what you're looking for and allows us to bundle content together at a reduced price. For example, it's now yet possible to purchase an entire DLC pack through an in-game store rather than purchasing each character separately. You know, if I knew that that was the case scenario, I they should. I mean, not for nothing, but they should have done that like a long time ago. So not touching the store in like over 5 years is like, so cool. Oh yeah, see, this is sick. This actually looks so much cleaner, and I really like this. Also, to highlight all the people like character wise is very, very cool. So I appreciate these changes. Oh yeah, see, I really like that a lot. This is all of this is really cool. And the chapters available as well. And there's a free weekly gift. That's really cool too. All right, I love that. I love this store change a lot. New tomes and their respective versions open at the same time as the update. There's a bundle option which grants a premium rewards and a 20-tier head start at a discounted price. Cool. All right. Honestly, overall, the store thing is really cool. Um, Emblem changes are really cool. Ultimate Weapon nerf is nice. Adrenaline nerf is, well, I understand that people are not going to be really too happy about it. I'm personally like fine because I never use adrenaline, but I understand how strong it is. So, I'm sure a lot of people are not going to be the happiest about this change. DS getting an update is interesting because they buffed it, but even more importantly, they gave it like a new animation. So I wonder if they will ever polish animations for like other things in the game. You know what I mean? Like I would personally like it if this is like a me thing, if anything. Okay, like I play like a healing build, and if I ever did like a good or a great check when I'm healing somebody, it'd be cool to like have an animation for that so that they know that they were getting a check. You know what I mean? Obviously the bar kind of makes it clear, but in the because like during the lights out event that we had, where you couldn't see the progression for like repairing and healing and that sort of thing, you only had skill checks. At least if they took that out, like the progression bar, and you did a skill check, an animation for a skill check would be really cool because at least it tells you like, oh, they hit a skill check or something of the nature, right? Because you only have an animation when you fail a skill check, which is like I get that and it's fine, but it feels really daunting to fail a skill check and then be punished for it animation wise, and then there not be that at all if you do a good or like a great check. That makes sense. So DS getting a stabbing animation for when it's used is very cool. I would like for them to apply that to a lot of different animations that the game already kind of has. Same thing with like like when using a toolbox during like a Christmas or a Halloween event, like the little confetti thing happens. I'm surprised that there isn't something just animation with that also during the normal generators of progression days. So I don't know. That's just me though. Haddonfield change is like it's okay, I guess. We'll have to see what the map plays out and feels like. I personally don't like it that the maps get just smaller naturally, because I feel like it's kind of part of the gameplay that the map is actually not like a tiny map. But we'll see what that reduction is overall size wise, like, and when we get in there. Blight change is there, which is cool. And then of course we got the massive change of the twins. So all in all, very intriguing stuff. I'm very curious to see how people feel about the killer, since twin is the kind of like the big change overall that we've got going on with this update, and as well as the nerf to both ultimate weapon as well as adrenaline, and how to feel this map. So let me know your thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.